Welcome to a journey into the heart of number theory. Today, we decode the Riemann hypothesis, the bridge between the chaotic prime numbers and the structured world of complex analysis. In 1859, Bernhard Riemann published a brief paper that changed everything. He suggested that the distribution of primes is not random, but dictated by the zeros of a specific function. We will derive this step by step. To understand Riemann, we must start with Leonhard Euler. Euler discovered a beautiful identity. He showed that the sum of 1 over n to the power of s, for all integers n, is exactly equal to the product over all prime numbers p of 1 divided by the quantity 1 minus p to the power of negative s. We call this the Euler product. In spoken math, the left side is the sum from n equals 1 to infinity of 1 over n to the power of s. The right side is the product over primes p of 1 over in parentheses 1 minus p to the power of negative s. This formula is valid when the real part of s is greater than 1. Riemann's genius was to treat s not just as a real number, but as a complex number. He defined the zeta function, zeta of s, using the sum. This function acts as a bridge. On one side, we have the discrete, stubborn prime numbers. On the other, we have the smooth, continuous world of complex calculus. If you enjoy this deep dive into math, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, the original sum only works if the real part of s is greater than 1. To explore the rest of the map, we use a process called analytic continuation. Riemann found a functional equation that allows us to calculate zeta of s even when s is a negative number or a fraction. The formula is zeta of s equals 2 to the power of s times pi to the power of s minus 1 times the sine of pi times s over 2 times the gamma function of 1 minus s times zeta of 1 minus s. Notice the sine term. When s is a negative even integer, like negative 2, negative 4, or negative 6, the sine function becomes 0. We call these the trivial zeros. But the real mystery lies in the critical strip, where the real part of s is between 0 and 1. Riemann hypothesized that all the interesting, non-trivial zeros lie exactly on the line where the real part of s is 1 over 2. This is the famous critical line. Why does this matter for primes? Let us look at the prime counting function, pi of x, which tells us how many primes exist up to a number x. Carl Friedrich Gauss noticed that pi of x is approximately equal to the logarithmic integral of x, written as Li of x. Li of x is the integral from 2 to x of 1 over the natural log of t dt. It starts at 2 since 2 is the lowest prime number. The prime number theorem states that the limit as x approaches infinity of pi of x divided by x over natural log of x equals 1. But there is always an error. The difference between the actual count of primes and the smooth approximation fluctuates. Riemann discovered that these fluctuations are not random. They are caused by the non-trivial zeros of the zeta function. Every zero adds a specific wave of correction to the count. To see this more clearly, mathematicians use the von Mangoldt function, denoted by the Greek letter lambda of n. Lambda of n equals the natural log of p, if n is a prime power p to the power of k, and 0 otherwise. We then define the Chebychev function, psi of x, as the sum of lambda of n for all n less than or equal to x. This function is a stepped staircase that jumps at every prime and prime power. For very large x, psi of x is approximately x. The error in this approximation is what we need to solve. By looking at psi of x, instead of pi of x, the math becomes much cleaner, allowing us to see the influence of the complex zeros directly. Riemann's most powerful result is the explicit formula. It shows that psi of x equals x minus the sum over the non-trivial zeros rho of x to the power of rho divided by rho minus the natural log of 2 times pi minus 1 over 2 times the natural log of 1 minus x to the power of negative 2. Let us focus on that sum. It involves x to the power of rho, where rho is a zero of the zeta function. If rho equals sigma plus I times t, then x to the power of rho is x to the power of sigma times x to the power of I times t. The x to the power of I times t part is an oscillation, like a sound wave. The x to the power of sigma part determines how fast that wave grows. If sigma is always 1 over 2, then all these waves grow at the same rate, square root of x times the square of the natural log of x. This would mean the primes are distributed with the maximum possible regularity. If you like this video so far, please like and subscribe to the channel for more math content. To derive the connection further, we look at the Dirichlet series. The natural log of zeta of s can be expressed as an integral. Specifically, the natural log of zeta of s equals s times the integral from 2 to infinity of pi sub 0 of x divided by x times in parentheses x to the power of s minus 1 dx. This is a version of a Mellin transform. It allows us to use the tools of Fourier analysis on prime numbers. By inverting this integral using a contour in the complex plane, we can extract the count of primes. The positions of the zeros row determine the poles of the derivative of the zeta function. When we perform the integration, each zero contributes a term that corrects the average density of primes. If even one zero were off the critical line, the primes would show a massive, lopsided bias that we simply do not observe in nature. So, where do we stand? The Riemann hypothesis is the gold standard of mathematics. It has been verified for the first 10 trillion zeros. Every single one of them has a real part of exactly 1 over 2. If it is true, it means that the prime numbers, which seem so chaotic, are actually governed by a perfect, harmonic symmetry. The zeros are like the resonant frequencies of a cosmic string. If someone proves it, they win the $1 million prize from the Clay Mathematics Institute. But more importantly, they would unlock the deepest secret of the atoms of mathematics. We have seen how the zeta function, the analytic continuation, and the explicit formula come together to describe the pulse of the primes. Let us reflect on the history. Bernhard Riemann was a student of Gauss. He was a shy man, but his imagination was boundless. He didn't just see numbers, he saw manifolds and curved spaces. When he turned his attention to the zeta function, he only wrote one paper on number theory. That single paper, only a few pages long, has fueled over 150 years of intense research. Mathematicians like Hardy, Littlewood, and Hilbert spent their lives trying to crack this code. Even today, the greatest minds in the world are searching for a way to prove that the real part of every non-trivial zero is 1 over 2. Think about what this means for the world. Our modern security, like RSA encryption, depends on the fact that prime numbers are hard to predict and factor. If the Riemann hypothesis is true, it doesn't necessarily break encryption, but it gives us a much more precise understanding of how primes are spaced. It tells us that there are no prime deserts larger than a certain size. It guarantees a level of balance in the universe of numbers. To visualize this, imagine the critical strip as a narrow hallway. The trivial zeros are outside, sitting predictably on the negative axis. But inside the hallway, the non-trivial zeros are dancing. Riemann's claim is that they are all dancing exactly on a tightrope stretched right down the middle of the hall. If any zero falls off that rope, the entire structure of number theory would feel the tremor. In this video, we have walked through the Euler product, which gave us our start. We have seen how the functional equation extends our reach. We have explored the prime counting functions and the von Mangoldt weights. And finally, we looked at the explicit formula, the crown jewel that links the zeros to the primes. Each step requires rigorous logic and a leap of faith into the complex plane. Mathematics is often seen as a finished building, but the Riemann hypothesis reminds us that it is a growing forest with many unexplored paths. Whether you are a student, a teacher, or just a curious mind, the beauty of the zeta function is available to everyone. It represents the peak of human logic. Thank you for staying until the end of this derivation. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and perhaps you will be the one to finally prove the hypothesis.